Hi, people. How are you? I'm pan out a little bit since my lips are a little chapped. Anyway, is it day 6? I guess if you count Monday as day 1. It's 6 days out since my VSG surgery. There has been a cluster of emotions and feelings and ailments that have taken place since we last talked, which was the day that I got discharged from the hospital. So just a reminder, my highest weight ever was 344, and my pre-op weight was 302. I weighed myself like 2 days ago. I was like 296. I do plan to weigh myself today just to see. But anywho, y'all, it has been a very mind-blowing experience thus far. So, where do I begin? So coming out of recovery, right? I was like, Mike, don't ever do this. Like, this is the most painful-ish ever. And I meant what I said. Like, I've been blessed to be in a place where, like, I've never, or no one has come up to me or said something to me telling me that I'm taking the easy way out. And that might be part because I was very particular on who I shared with and how I shared. So those experiences may happen in the future. Excuse me. So yeah, burping and gas is like a real thing with this surgery. But anyway, um, this is not taking the easy way out by any means. This has been a very um, impactful mind, body, spirit experience. So for anybody to do this, they really had to be committed and really felt that this was, I don't want to say the last option, but to a degree, last option to do. So to commit to this process and to go through the pains and just even like the process, the administrative process before is it's a lot. And the waiting game and going on a pre-op liquid diet, and then also where I am now in a post-op 4-week liquid diet. Like, this is real. And I believe I said, excuse me, what is this on my lip? I have really chapped lips. This is hilarious. But anyway, um, getting distracted. Um, this to me is like a boost. Like, I think I used the analogy in one of my videos about how, like, if somebody's trying to hop a fence and they need a bit of a boost, like, this is the boost to help you hop over the fence, but you for real got to still do the work to be able to get over it. Like, there is a lot of stories out there that talk about, or testimonies that talk about how, like, you know, there's a need for very strict discipline at the beginning, and then once you kind of get into this management mode, after your 1 year honeymoon phase, like, you can easily go back if you don't stay aware of what's going on for you and taking care of yourself. So this is definitely something that can help, but it can be abused and it could put you back at square one. So anyway, that's enough blah blah blah. So what has been going on these past few days? Well, like I said, I was in the hospital till Wednesday. Went home. Car ride, it was pretty good. We drove um my smaller car, which probably wasn't a good idea that Tally came up with. But so it was a bit of an adjustment that way. A lot of still sensitive to hitting potholes and bumps and things. I gotta hold the seat belt to kind of be my hands to be a buffer to my stomach. So that was interesting. do a lot of squats to get in and out of sitting position. So cars, chairs, bed, whatever. Um, what else? There's a lot of gas. So for those who are not familiar with this, and I don't want to gross anyone out, but at one portion of the operation, they have to pump gas into your stomach to make sure that there aren't any leakages in your belly, which, if there was in long term, that could harm you and possibly be fatal. But anyway, so when all this gas is in your stomach, you got to eventually get this mess out, right? And so it comes out burping or passing gas or whatever. And I had a bit of a struggle with that because, first of all, belching of any sort would make me just want to gag or feel nauseated. And then passing gas was kind of an issue for quite a few days until it finally happened. And it was like, thank you, Lord. What else? Um, Sorry. I think also just the schedule of this eating. So right now I'm in a place where I have to eat 6 small meals throughout the day, and each meal needs to have at least at least 10 grams of protein, as well as it need to be timed out well because it needs to be a time for you to eat, and then you got to let time pass, and then you need to get your water in. I'm kind of still struggling with meeting my water goals, but that's typical at the beginning. Um, and then also to taking all the medicines. So my surgeon is requiring that I take a medication for acid to prevent acid in the stomach forming, as well as I have to take a gallstone medication. And then in addition, I have to take vitamins. So I have to take a iron, if you could see that. Probably not. I think with the sunlight. Anyway, this is an iron pill, and then I have to take multivitamins, and then I had to take a calcium citrate. All of my vitamins are chewable, and thank goodness, they all taste well. I'm able to get them down. So that's a bit of a balancing act. And I kind of got to develop me a way of how to accurately measure my water, because I just been drinking little water bottles here and there, but I'm not keeping up with them. So I don't feel that I have an accurate record of how much water I drink. So today, going to adjust that, where Stanford gave me a water bottle that's 20 ounces, and I'm using that to measure my water so that I can stay on point with that. And then it's almost like you got this hour window between, or hour and a half window between each meal to get down so much water. And if you really are not paying attention and being aware and time management, like, you could be at the end of the day and you might have only had 12 or 20 ounces of water, which is not a good thing, because water is just, I believe it's number one important, just like it is to eat and during this time and having surgery. So vitamins are like a lifetime commitment, and like leaving your vitamins behind is like leaving your oxygen tank behind. Like, you gotta have to take your vitamins every day to prevent any malnutrition issues. And then also hydration is just as important, and it's more important than even the nourishment part, though definitely you need to get protein in your body to prevent any type of weakness and your muscles eating each other. But if you're not hydrated, like, dehydration can send you to the emergency room, and you could really have some deep issues. So anyway, that's kind of like the main stuff that I have to manage on a day-to-day basis. So just trying to figure out a rhythm or whatever. But what I really wanted to focus on today during this video was to kind of talk about the part where you think you can handle. I have to admit, I kind of just brushed it off like, putting a list together like, oh yeah, I need eggs, milk, dot dot dot, and didn't really like think about how important like these things were. And what I mean by this is my doctor was like, oh yeah, you're gonna need just a week off, for physical recovery, and then also I recommend you take a second week off because of emotional stuff. And I was like, and I heard that, but I was like, I'll just work from home. But I mean, emotional stuff might be just like, oh my gosh, I finally did it. No, totally wrong. So yesterday, and I think I've been struggling for at least 2 days, but I take a liquid pain medication, and I noticed that the medications, it helps with sleeping, of course, and I was having really like these like dark but seem super real dreams, and they felt so real because they were either using real people in my life, these thoughts, these dreams, and I would wake up so emotional. So yesterday, I literally woke up out of my sleep, or woke up for that morning just like crying and bawling because these dreams, like I felt like I was in prison in these dreams where like the themes were like abandonment. I felt like people that I really care about and that folks that are very important in my life was abandoning me during this time. The dreams is kind of fuzzy, but it was like I would have dreams where like my friends didn't want to hang out or come and see me or just engage. And there was one even with my mother, like she was making other people more important than me. And so anyway, yesterday I just woke up like bawling, like crying from my heart because it felt so real. And my husband was like, "What's wrong?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And but I just kept crying and crying. And I know for him, he wants to help fix or solve or make me feel better for me, and I think also for him too. And because I wasn't giving him a roadmap to work from or some type of direction, I think it was really difficult for him as well as it was difficult for me because I wasn't able yet to put into words or articulate what was going on because I felt like I was still in the dream even though I was talking to him. Like I felt like it was so real, like it just happened 2 seconds ago, right? And I hadn't processed my feelings. So my genuine response was, I don't know, because I hadn't processed what was wrong. And then I had had a dream about one of my dogs dying. And for those who are watching this and know me, those are like my pseudo children outside of my stepson. And so it was very heart-wrenching for that because I feel like I was having a loss. So I'm pretty sure that this all is symbolized and point to something that I'm dealing with right now, in light of my lifestyle alteration, physical alteration. So definitely know that I need to start bariatric group therapy sessions sooner rather than later. I believe there'll be some coming up next week. So I'm gonna definitely put that into play, as well as I'm going to definitely do like one-on-one therapy. But I'm looking for a therapist that has some type of specialty in working with bariatric patients. So the morning was hard. I was very like felt weighed down. I think there was some moments where I was like, why did I do this to myself? Like, why did I do this, right? Which I recall that is something that happens, but I was not prepared, and maybe that's my problem, is I always want to be prepared for stuff. Like, I want to know, but then I also want to be prepared so it doesn't affect me as much. And at this time, like I wasn't prepared, and I think that added even another layer of frustration and sadness because I was like, wait, I got all my files, all my how-tos in order, and how was I not ready for this, right? So anyway, later on in the day, I was able to process and speak with raw feelings to my husband and also to some friends. And then I had the opportunity to connect with a friend that I had went to high school with, who had saw on my new Instagram page that I made that I had had the surgery, and he had had the same surgery. And it was an awesome opportunity to connect with him because, one, for us to come from the same socioeconomic background, and literally he grew up like 2 blocks over from where I lived, in East Oakland. Like, to just talk about like just access to good food, and like not even knowing that the way we were brought up contributed to where we were and how we got to this point where like our weight was so out of control that you just thought it was just a way of life. And about time you realize through education or just exposure, this condition, this food addiction was so out of control, like you really couldn't get your grounding on being able to fix this on your own. And so that was really helpful. He's still a bit like kind of hood grimy in the way how he talks about his story. So that was a little different. So I had to keep like bringing him back in or whatever like that. I'm like, okay, well, what about this situation? I'll have to reframe or whatever because he still is all hood. But anyway, and then being able to just talk to Mike was very helpful, and one of my sister girlfriends, being able to just get it out to different people. And I have an awesome friend who I've mentioned before, Al, who's gone through this, and he was like, yeah, this is part of the process. This is what you go through, but it won't last long. It'll pass. And then my husband giving me the advice of, it's just dreams. It doesn't have control over you. You're bigger than this. So just having that encouragement from different areas in my life, from the person the most closest to me to who folks who really who were a part of, I don't want to say was a part of, but had a similar upbringing, and knowing that this stuff started years ago, was very helpful. I did make a decision that I'm cutting back on I'm like reducing the dosage of my pain medicines because it does kind of put me in this euphoric, very real dream patterns that makes it very uncomfortable for me. So that has helped a lot. I reduced the amount I'm pouring, and I noticed that my dreams are more real and more pleasant, and that has been very helpful. Um, Still struggling with gas issues, but gas X has been my friend, and belching and just not being so tense when these situations come up. I think that's pretty much it. I just keep looking forward to the next day. I also use in reference when I was recovering from my ankle and foot reconstructive surgery, how like you'll have a really bad day, and then the next day or day after, it was like you slowly just got better and better and better. So I feel like I'm at this place where I remember where I was like, oh my gosh, like this shit is horrible. and then I would have maybe a day or two that was bad, and then it was like I would keep moving along the line of feeling better. So this morning I didn't wake up all that great. I was in a bit of pain, and I think because I'm taking a reduced amount of pain medicine, that had an effect. Also, I'm a side sleeper, and I don't sleep most of the night with on my side. I have to pretty much sleep on my back. So I think that's discomforting, and so I was able to wake up with a smile on my face, but I have some pain. So, but I know that I'm strong and I'm resilient and I'm bigger than this, and that God will just take the pain away in His time, and that also just had this revelation right now, like I do still want to be present when I'm having this pain, to just remind me of just the hard work that I've put in up to this point and the progress that I'm making moving forward. And I thank Amaria for giving me this word of encouragement that I need to look at my tears as progress tears, and it's just progressing me through this timeline. So, when I do have the pain, I think it just reminds me of how much work I put into this and how committed I am to being successful with this, because I don't want to have this pain again. I don't want to go backwards. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it. Thank you for listening. Thank you for those who have supported me. And I can't wait to check back in on Monday, which will be a week out, and see where I am then. Yeah, and I just can't wait to keep just documenting each week and then monthly check-ins, but that's so far down the road. But anyway, thank you. Hopefully this made sense. If it didn't, it's okay. This vlogging is really for me in my therapeutic sessions, but I thank you for taking the time to listen. If you listen to the whole video, take care. Bye.